It's like, bro, get the fuck out of here with that. Yo, Suciotalk in session out here. Click it's two at a time. Sync with the music. It's okay. It's all right. It's casual. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Fucking in the studio, hanging out with Jared Murray. What up, Jared?
What's up, brother?
How you doing, man?
Good. I'm out here.
I'm actually getting to know you first time.
Yeah.
So it's
sure.
actually been a while since I've done a podcast like this because usually, you know, I'll know the person beforehand. So it's all good though.
Yep.
So how you been, man?
Good, brother. Yeah. Working hard, bouncing around. Fam's good. Everybody's healthy. All good. Yeah.
Dope, man. And you're born and raised in Oakland.
Born and raised in Oakland.
Dope, man.
Yes, sir.
Now I'm moving to Oakland and I love it here. How do you find it now versus when you were a kid?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the city has changed a lot. There's a lot more white dudes in the city than there used to be. And I think growing up for me in Oakland, it was just like everybody else was also from Oakland. So there was like a really, really strong sense of community.
You feel like outsiders weren't welcomed here long ago? No,
it wasn't that. I mean, Oakland is always an incredibly diverse place, and like its history is people being from other places. Like it's a port city. You know, Alameda's got all the naval bases, so there's always been lots of different people, and really is a melting pot in a lot of different ways. So no, I definitely wouldn't say that people were unwelcome here. It was just like everybody who was here had been here for a while.
Right.
When I was growing up. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. And what do you're working at Mommenpop. How'd you get that gig?
There's a gentleman named Kevin Dow who's basically gotten me my last 3 jobs in succession.
Okay, what does he do?
He works for a company called Brown Fordman. Used to represent Ford's Gin for a while.
Got you.
But yeah, I spent a little bit of time in Philly. So and he's from Philly, so he connected me with a job out there.
Okay.
Then I came back and did a little bit of consulting work out in Sacramento at a restaurant called Tiger, a bar called Tiger.
Okay.
He made that call and then also connected me with the folks at Mommenpop as well. So
very cool.
Shouts out Kevin Dow.
Yeah, Kevin Dow. So he's like sort of a mentor for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Every time he calls my phone, my life like changes drastically. I'm just like, okay, like what's the next, couple months gonna look like?
Yeah, that's the best part about this industry.
It is.
You know, literally a phone call. That's why I
is.
Open to everybody, be nice to everybody, because you never fucking know who can help you out. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So Mommenpop, how long you been there?
I just had my 6-month review a couple weeks ago. So a little over 6 months now. Yeah.
Got you. So you got a good review, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had a sales job or a brand job before. So and I'm also like the first full-time hire for this company with that kind of role. So we're kind of both growing together.
So they're experimenting as well, like having somebody take on responsibility.
For sure.
That's cool, man.
Sure.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Are you commuting to Napa?
So our facilities are up in Napa, and my territory is all of Northern California. So I'm bouncing around quite a bit. Yeah.
Okay. And what is the actual product? Because I looked at it, I'm like, is it wine or is it citrus? Like,
yeah. So the greater category is Aperitif. Is what we call it. We could call it an aperitif. We could call it a vermouth. We could call it a fortified wine. Whatever. It's kind of it's a little bit of a interesting category because like not a lot of people know a whole lot about it. But it's wine based. So we start off making wine, fortify it with unaged grape brandy, grape booze, basically to stop the fermentation, kind of the same way you do with vermouth. And then we're like macerating it or just like cutting it up, putting it in a tank, letting it sit for about 8 weeks, and then straining it out is pretty much the whole process.
Right. Okay. Yep. And so it's pretty shelf stable?
Yeah. Citrus is super rich in ascorbic acid, which is kind of a stabilizer. And also when you're fortifying things, it also stabilizes it.
Do you find any like off flavors years later, or do you like...
The brand is super young, so even our first batch was made in like 2016, 2017.
Right.
So those ones are still doing okay.
Okay.
But we haven't had anything that's like 10 years old, and we don't exactly know.
Yeah, you don't exactly. So you're like treading new water.
Yeah, man. That's the dope thing about working for a small company. It's, you're figuring it out. And, we can't put like a vintage statement. We can't put a year on our bottles because it's fortified, but definitely year to year, we're always trying to tweak it, always trying to make it better.
Yeah.
Our founder maker Samantha Sheehan is really a super creative, super talented woman who's always down to like tinker and change it up and make adjustments, which is dope. Okay, very cool.
All the citrus, are they growing it?
No, we source it from different farmers, almost entirely around Northern California.
Okay.
I think a big part of this project in its growth actually came during the pandemic. A lot of farmers who weren't able to get a lot of their citrus off because of the pandemic and supply chain issues and stuff.
Right.
Our maker Samantha was really interested in like reaching out and like, okay, you have like, 2,000 pounds of grapefruit that haven't moved in like 3 months. We'll take all of it right now and turn it into products. So,
okay.
Yeah.
And let's say out of 3,000 grapefruits, how many liters are you getting from that?
Yeah, so we're probably producing, about like 1,500 cases per batch, and we do it like once a year.
Okay.
And
are those selling quick? Are you like, do you hold any back?
No, we try
just try to sell it out.
We try and get it all off. Yeah,
right.
We actually had a couple shortages where we like sold through everything before we got to the next year. So we had like the 375 bottles, and we're out of the 750 milliliters for a while.
Right,
so
right.
Hopefully the issue we won't come across again because we're expanding. We have some, investors now, so we're able to make a little bit more product.
Dope.
So hopefully an issue we don't come across again, but with supply chain and everything, you never.
I hear that. Do they have any other products?
Yeah, so we have it's just Mommenpop, and then Samantha also makes wine as well. She makes Poe and Ultraviolet. She kind of got her name sort of making like Burgundian style sparkling wine. Up in Napa. She makes some really, really dope wine.
Where's the vineyard?
She sources from a couple different places.
Oh, so she doesn't grow the grapes?
No, she doesn't grow the grapes.
Got you.
Yeah.
Best way to do it, baby.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, I don't grow weed. I smoke it. You know
there
what I'm saying? Fuck yeah. So, Jerry, here on Sucio Talk, we take it all the way back. You told me you were born and raised in Oakland, right? What was eating like growing up?
Yeah, I think I mostly lived with my mom. My parents divorced when I was really young.
Right.
My mom is from Oakland. She's one of like 8 kids. Definitely, not a lot of financial resources in her upbringing. So we were eating like, like SpaghettiOs and like lean cuisine, and, like hamburger helper.
Yeah, for sure.
My mom's favorite wine is like $2 Chuck. She's a big Charles Shaw fan. So definitely not like a fine dining upbringing by any means.
Right.
Yeah, actually, the first restaurant I worked at was True Laurel. And it was like the first restaurant gig and really introduced me into like fine dining and eating and things.
Okay.
Like I'd literally eaten top ramen earlier that day. And then later that day we had like our tasting, and Jeff Davis made this like bone broth ramen with like stinging nettles and like, whole wheat rice noodles and shit like that. And I was like, okay, this is like a defining moment. Because,
it's like, that's not food what I had back there.
Exactly.
This is food.
Yeah,
bro,
exactly. So
was that your first job? True Laurel?
That was my first job in the restaurant industry.
Okay.
That's not true. I worked at Starbucks for like 6 months, like right out of high school.
Okay.
Which was
I will say though, Starbucks people, well trained.
Yeah.
They come in, they listen, they know foreign SOPs. They're like, that's my shit.
Yes.
So
totally.
I'll say shout out to Starbucks.
And also like everybody does everything. Like
exactly.
The person who's like ringing you up is also cleaning the toilets at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Which is a cool.
I don't know if I like that.
Not simultaneously.
It's like coming on and taking your money. It's like, fuck that, bro.
Yeah. Always wash your hands after touching money, for sure.
It's a shame. Like every bathroom you go to has to have that sign: employees must wash their hands.
Yeah.
Like, bro, like if you need to be reminded, like maybe you shouldn't be in a restaurant.
Yeah, it might be.
You know what I mean? But I have seen like in some nasty hotels, like
for sure.
I've seen dudes use the bathroom with their apron still on and just walk right out. And I'm like, bro, that shit happened nationwide, people. So good luck on your next meal out there. Cool. So growing up in Oakland, fucking, what did you do during school?
So always played sports growing up. Definitely like consider, like if you would have asked me like who I am as a person up until I was like probably 20 years old, my first response would have been like an athlete first.
Okay.
So yeah, big sports kid growing up. I have an older sister who's a really big part of my upbringing and probably the person who like influenced me more than any other single person has. Her and I are super, super close.
Right.
And then, I mostly spent most of my time with my mom. My dad kind of bounced around different parts of Oakland and lived in Berkeley for a little bit too. So kind of really got to see like all of Oakland and all of Berkeley and from a few different perspectives for sure.
Okay. Very cool. What was your first job?
So I babysat like a madman when I was
that's
in high
dope.
school. I used to go hard babysitting.
Damn, you actually like kids.
Yeah,
okay.
I do like kids. I do like kids.
I was talking to my other homeboy. He's like, he's with this woman now, and they're an older couple, and they're like, yeah we hate kids. And I'm like, there's not a lot of people that are willing to admit that like that.
For
but
sure.
you found each other, so
but
congratulations.
People in their midlife who don't have kids always seem like some of the happiest people on the planet.
Oh, for sure,
like
for sure. It's stressful, bro.
Life,
But I'm sure you were giving some kind of comfort too, because babysitting, now you can go out to dinner and shit like that.
Definitely.
Got you. What was the craziest shit that ever happened to you babysitting?
Dude, I most of the kids I had were honestly pretty cool.
Okay.
I babysat for one family that were big LARPers. They
really?
Would, like, get out and like hardcore LARP.
Like the parents too?
Yeah, the parents too, like live action role play. So they were kind of like really big on like the swords and like the shields and that whole thing, which like isn't really my lane, but other than that, man, most of the kids I had were pretty cool. And like, pooping, throwing up on shit, things like that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it was pretty cool.
I had this idea to do hood LARPing.
Okay.
Where you like do, you set up like legit, it's like a movie drug deal. You know what I mean? And then the cops bust in and you fucking try to get out. It's all paintballs, you know what I mean? It's all for fun. But you could live your live action movie.
Like an escape room.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Exactly. But live action, like you could die and then you fucking your family's in there for the next hour and you're outside like, fuck, I died. But who knows? Who knows? If anybody out there has the idea or the money to start that, go ahead, please.
Yeah.
I'll be a customer.
Yeah. But so I worked at Starbucks for a little bit, and then I was a soccer coach for about 3 years.
Okay. So very mentor. Like that was your, got you.
Yeah, for sure. And actually I was coaching soccer. I was coaching the high school at the girls at the high school I went to Oakland Tech.
Okay.
So I was coaching the girls team there, but like you don't get paid until a stipend at the end of the season. So like for 3 months I wasn't getting like a steady paycheck.
Really?
So I would basically, the reason I got into restaurants is I was like trying to find a way to make money while still being able to coach soccer. So I would like coach and then go close the bar at True Laurel after.
Okay, got you. Okay, so busy man.
Yeah.
Busy man.
Yeah.
And True Laurel job, how did you get that? Did you stage for it?
No, I was a part of the opening team actually, and it was like the first restaurant job I ever had. Kind of just a homie of mine, Jordy Hoshu, knew Nick Torres, who's the co-owner of True Laurel, and I kind of let her know that I was looking for bar backing jobs. I applied for a couple things, and then got tossed in the deep end at True Laurel.
So okay, and Jeff was already the opening chef.
Yep,
got you.
He was the CDC.
Cool. So how long did that whole process take, opening True Laurel?
I probably got put on for that job around like November, and then we opened, I think, like sometime in December. So I was really like one of the last pieces. Okay. And I was just a bar back as well, so like I wasn't like a high trained role or anything. I just kind of got put on. Yeah.
How long were you there?
I was there for a little over 2 years.
So you saw its formative years.
Yeah, absolutely.
How long did it take to get your bearings as a restaurant? Yeah,
man. I mean, True Laurel has like one of the most like complex, heady cocktail programs that like I've ever seen ever. So it took a long time, but I was able definitely to learn a lot really, really quickly, which was and not even really an experience I was like ready for, or even looking for necessarily. But yeah, it all happened really fast. So I started as a bar back, and then at about the year mark, I like became a bartender. Right. And then soon after, kind of became in charge of like the cocktail prep program there as well.
Very cool. Yep. Okay. And so you just got interested in the cocktail business, and you just went for it, started learning.
Yeah, man. I mean, I didn't go to college out of high school, so like I think for a lot of my friends, they were able to just like go and like meet a bunch of new people and make a new bunch of friends and like go around, and I didn't really have that experience. So like working in a restaurant was really that for me, like the sense of community among the cocktail bars and restaurants, specifically in the Mission in San Francisco. Was like I got to meet so many like really cool people, so many people I'm still friends with now. And it was like it was just about like learning something new, which I felt really ready for. I had to like learn about food and cocktails and wine, and then also like meet really, really cool people too. So yeah. Yep. Very cool, man.
So when you're coming to the end of your time there, how do you decide to leave? Why did you decide to leave?
Yeah, my older sister was getting a dual degree from the Wharton School of Business and Harvard Kennedy School.
Okay.
Wow. So she was moving.
Congratulations, chef.
Yeah, my sister goes hard.
That's badass.
Yeah, my sister goes hard for sure. So she was moving to Philadelphia, and I'd like always lived in Oakland and was kind of feeling ready for a new kind of vibe. Like all my friends that I've had, like my best friends now were like my best friends when I was like 7 years old. Like I've like always been around the same people, always lived in Oakland. So I was just really feeling ready for something new. I think a big part of the reason why I wanted to get into restaurants is that, you know, it's such a transferable skill. You can kind of do it anywhere.
You can work anywhere.
And that was like my first test to see how real that was. So my sister was moving. Her husband had to stay back here because of work requirements. So I was like, yeah, down. I'm moving to Philly. I moved to Philly before I ever went to the city.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were ready to go.
Yeah, I was ready.
That's the best way to be.
Sure.
Best way to be. Yeah. So when you get to Philly, what's the first step?
You know, took a little bit of time off because I'd like really been grinding in restaurants and working really hard for, you know, a couple years. So took a little time off and then basically got offered a role to become like the head of cocktails or kind of the cocktail director for a restaurant called Fork in Old City, Philadelphia. Yeah.
Got you. Fork, who's restaurant group? Yeah,
it's owned by a woman named Ellen Yin. She's got like, I think a couple James Beards in her locker. I think Fork was voted like best restaurant in America in like 2002 or something like that.
Got you.
But kind of like an old timey spot. Like I had to wear like a shirt and tie, which like I found out quickly was like not really for me. But I think even now, if you type in like Philadelphia restaurant, Fork is the first one that pops up. So,
got you.
Yep.
Okay. Very cool. And did you have a plan of how long you were going to stay in Philly?
No, not at all.
You just went out. Okay.
Yeah, just went out. But I moved in that November before the pandemic hit, that March or whatever. So my time in Philly got cut short a little bit.
Okay.
But, yeah.
How was COVID in Philly?
You know, I was pretty tucked, man. Like I had just moved there, so like I hadn't really made a whole lot of friends yet. So I was pretty
so it didn't matter.
Way. Yeah, like, I was pretty out the way.
Got you.
But definitely a lot of I mean, you know, all the George Floyd things and happening. I think Philadelphia has a really intense history of really poor police relations. So all the you know, all the calls to action around those type of things in Philadelphia were in really strong effect for sure.
Yeah. I'm fucking terrified of getting pulled over.
Yeah.
Because like you never know who you're dealing with, man.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
I just like the videos come out over and over again, and I ask myself how many videos are happening every day we don't see.
Yep, totally.
It's like, fuck, man. There's this Instagram page called Always Film the Police, and they're always putting, which I'm like, should I be fucking watching this? You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it's like you got to be fucking aware of what's going on.
Yep,
you know?
for sure. Yeah, police are scary. For
yeah,
sure.
Man. Yeah, it's not good. So your time gets cut short. When do you decide to come back?
So I was in Philly for about a little bit under a year. My sister's classes got moved online. I'd gotten laid off from my role and at Fork. So about a year, we just came back. Yeah,
that must have been devastating for your sis, man.
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, especially she's getting her MBA, which is a really social.
Yeah, exactly.
Program,
yeah, you need the people to help you study. You know,
tons of networking. And there's always like events happening. So a little bit of a bummer for sure.
Got you. And she was able to get her degree and everything now. She's good?
Yeah. Again, she got the dual degree. It was like a 3-year program altogether. She just graduated this past May.
Dope. Yep. Congratulations.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a big deal.
Yeah. So when you came back, what was your plan then?
Again,
no plan.
Took a little time off.
My man.
But then
enjoy yourself, baby.
That dude Kevin Dow connected me with a group of guys out in Sacramento, running a place called Tiger, which is like you know, one of the most lit places to go out in Sacramento. If you ever find yourself in Sacramento,
Tiger.
Shouts out Tiger.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like
when I always go to Sacramento, I went for like a couple restaurant weeks just to check it out.
Yep.
And I just find like this level of pretension there, and I'm like, you guys claim your food scene is so big and wild, and then it's not.
Yeah.
Like every restaurant I've been there has not been good.
It's a tight knit community for sure. Like you cannot afford to burn bridges in Sacramento. Like everybody knows everybody for sure.
So they're gonna fucking come after Suciotalk out here.
No. I was gonna say I gotta be careful.
It's all good, bro. It's all good. Don't want to be roasting up there. It's all good.
But there's a couple diamonds in the rough in Sacramento. For sure.
Yeah,
definitely.
I just like because it's like that bad restaurant. It reminds me of like circa 2008 when everybody was just trying to copy Alinea and all the other books.
Yeah,
and it's like you weren't really doing, like, it's not your food. So it's like you're just copying, and it just seems like kind of dated fine dining.
Yeah.
You know
what I will say about Sacramento is that it's a really diverse city. A lot of like young people, a lot of young like Black and people of color professionals out there. It's also still cheap enough that like a lot of people who I know out there are like artists and able to like really like, you know, more or less get by on their art, which is like not a thing in the Bay Area. Like I don't know anybody unless they're like super
up here,
like
bro.
super poppin' that are like an artist and able to like live in this city and get by. In Sacramento, you can do that a little bit.
Okay, which is awesome. I'd have to just spend more time up there.
Yeah, man.
Maybe I'll go with you. You give me a tour.
Yeah,
for sure. I'd love that. Also visit, what's his name? Jim from Feather River Farms.
Okay.
I'm always calling him out. But if you're at the Marin Market, check him out. He's got some great fruit. His walnuts are fire.
Okay, dope. Hell yeah.
Speaking of that, I never see any cocktails made with nuts. Can you speak on that a little bit? Like, why? I get it, it's fat, right? But why aren't we seeing that?
Well, there's one really famous one that features nuts, which is a Mai Tai.
Okay.
Which is an orgeat. If you ever see orgeat, that's like a syrup made from nuts.
Right.
So, which is one of my favorite cocktails. Mm-hmm. And also, I'm like a big, like sherry is one of my favorite ingredients to use in cocktails, which kind of has like a natural nuttiness. And like, I'm always trying to find those like parallels in flavor. So I actually feel like I use nuts. That's a cool amount. Yeah.
Got you.
But yeah. Okay. And also the allergy. I think people are just like, you know.
People are afraid. Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense. That makes sense. I need to fucking get in the cocktail world, man. I need to learn more, hang out with Jeff. You know what I mean? Like just being around you guys is interesting. Because, you know, for the longest time you spent time with chefs, they don't give a fuck about wine. Yep. You know what I mean? Especially in Napa Valley even, like, never went wine tasting. You know what I mean? It was right there. I should have definitely done it. Yeah. But I think it's just one of those things where you think you're focusing on one thing, and you can definitely focus on many things that will help you do the one thing. Yeah, you know what I mean? So where the fuck are we? You left, you came back,
spent some time,
took some time off, spent some time in SAC, and then where do you go from there?
Yeah, then came back, kind of realized that like working behind the bar is something I maybe wanted to move away from, just because like it's hard, man. Working
it's rigorous.
Is hard, especially when you're bartending. Like the late nights, dealing with fucking really, really drunk people all the time is like not the most fun job for me. I definitely think like I'm a bit more introverted than your average bartender is. So like just like having to be around people and talking to people for like 10 hours straight, like late into the night, was just like super, super draining for me, which I think actually during the pandemic really helped realize, like as soon as I like stepped away from that, it was like high school, when you're like in high school and you're going to school like 5 days a week for like 7 hours a day. Yeah. Then you graduate and you're like, damn, bro, how was I able to do that for so long? That's kind of what it felt like. I was like, man, how was I able to stay up late and like work 40-hour weeks?
Yeah. Well, you're not thinking about it. You're just a horse with blinders on.
Exactly.
Like, gotta go to work.
Exactly.
Gotta make this cocktail. Gotta prep this. Gotcha.
Exactly. So I was kind of started to look for like, you know, brand work, brand ambassadorships, things like that. Also during the pandemic, I was doing like virtual cocktail classes. My like unemployment got really fucked up when I got laid off.
Okay.
So like I applied for unemployment in Pennsylvania when the pandemic hit. Didn't hear back from the Pennsylvania government until about like June or July.
Damn.
And then in June or July, they hit me and were like, "You haven't been in Pennsylvania long enough. You need to apply in California."
What the fuck?
So then by then it was like everybody had already applied for unemployment. I was like a little bit late, so I didn't get my first unemployment check until I think like that October or November.
Right.
So during that time, like to eat, I started doing these like, you know, these like virtual cocktail classes.
You just doing them on your own?
Yeah, on my own. Yeah, at the house. Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of just like started going hard on Instagram, like, you know, posting more cocktails that I'm making at home and being more intentional about my Instagram and shit. Mm-hmm. And then basically just like, you know, all of my friends who had like, you know, corporate jobs or whatever got to like, wanted to do like staff building or,
yeah, that's all it is. We were just like truffle shuffle, baby.
Yep. Hell yeah. So just did like little cocktail classes, and also got to do some cool ones for like, you know, some fundraising opportunities and, you know, some initiatives that I care about. Got to do some volunteer things to like, you know, raise awareness and stuff. So that's really, kind of how I got to like build my own brand a little bit more.
Right.
Which kind of, I think definitely helped me with like getting like a brand ambassador job, like the one I have now.
Right. Okay. Very cool.
Yep.
What was the interview process like for your brand ambassador job?
Yeah, it's actually like, kind of funny.
Yeah.
They pretty much fucked with me before I even got the job. Like, I didn't really have much of an interview process. We like went out to lunch. Like it was like me, my boss, a gentleman named Scott Baird, who's one of the founding partners of Trick Dog, really talented OG bartender in the San Francisco cocktail scene. But they like took me out to lunch. We kind of like talked about their families and like, you know, didn't really talk anything about like, you know, my cocktail style or my knowledge or anything. And then kind of at the end of lunch, they're like, do you like Mommenpop? I was like, yeah, I like the product. I've had it in a few different spaces. And they're like, okay, good. Like, do you want like the NorCal brand ambassador job? And I was like, is this a job offer right now?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, this is, how much money you're going to be making. These are where your benefits are going to look like. Like we basically wanted to meet you in person before we offered you the job. So that's what like this was about today. So, but yeah, they kind of just fucked with me from the jump. And I think some good recommendations carried big roles. So
hell yeah, man. Congratulations, bro.
Yeah. But kind of that note you talked about earlier, man, like you just got to be nice to people. Like,
yeah.
I think I'm a pretty good bartender and like, know a good amount of stuff, but like I definitely attribute where I'm at to, it's not what you know, it's who you know, and it's not who you know, it's who knows you too. You know what
it's
I mean?
kindness, baby. That's it. Just be kind, and you'll get much more out of life.
Yep, totally.
I feel like there's a negative sort of cloud that happens at restaurants, and it always festers, and like you enjoy being in each other's misery, and like you know what I mean. And it's just like, come on, man. Like,
why complaining?
And dude, I'm not.
About the staff and the management.
Exactly, and it's like it even happens sometimes. You go like get a coffee, and like people will be like, 3 hours till we're out of here, and I made a promise to myself that I will never work somewhere or do anything where I'm like looking at the clock, trying to leave. Because at that moment, I know it's time to go.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
crazy.
Plus, you got to be there anyway. Like
exactly,
if you're gonna be there, come on, let's
be present. Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, I always told my cooks like, look, I can't we work in 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. I don't expect you guys aren't robots.
Yeah.
If you're having an off day, just come in and tell me I'm having an off day.
Yeah.
I don't take advantage of that shit. But just let me know so I don't I know, okay, he's in a bad space. I'm not gonna, go hard on him. If he needs help, I'm just gonna help him.
Yeah. Totally.
Just like that mentorship stuff.
Yeah.
So where do you go from here? What are you looking for this position to provide for you, and what are you looking to provide for it?
Yeah, I mean, I think, part of the reason why I really am happy with my role at Mommenpop is it's like a really, really small company. I'm like, kind of anti-capitalist, kind of anti-big brand. I like to do all my grocery shopping at local grocery stores.
Okay.
I always like to support the small guy over the big guy, any opportunity I can. So working for a small company really, I think, allows me a lot of room for hopefully upward mobility where I can grow with the company and have a bigger role and, potentially think about stock options and things like that. Also, I think just being a pretty young Black dude in this industry, there's just not a lot of other young Black people in this industry at all.
There isn't.
And definitely more so working in restaurants. I think right now there's kind of a resurgence of really young people starting to work in restaurants again.
Yeah.
I think after the pandemic, a lot of
That's
the old heads got out of there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of new young people, which I think is going to really, and it just seems more diverse, slightly more diverse. But there's not a lot of people who are in managerial roles or roles as buyers or even brand ambassadors that are young Black people. It just doesn't exist.
Right. Yeah, no, you're definitely changing the space. So is Jeff.
Yep, for sure.
I mean, for the longest time, you don't realize you're just working every day, and then you look up and you're like, wait a minute now.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of that's what I noticed. There was no Puerto Ricans in 3-star Michelin. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Let me be the first, or at least, and I want to have a space where that's a thing. We know where they're at.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So it's we can always support each other, you know?
But it's crazy, man, especially in my job now. I am mostly interacting with the people who own restaurants or the people who are the head buyer or the wine director. And there's just no, I'm way younger and way darker than every single person I talk to on a daily basis, almost always. And I've got to do a little bit of travel with my role. I've been to Seattle, Chicago, New York, Boston, LA. I'm the only Black person on any of our distribution teams as well, even in all those places. So it's especially when you start talking about fine dining and those really elevated cocktail experiences, it just gets more white and more male dominated for sure, which is so definitely just trying to be out here and show that, I mean, I've got put on and have been able to get a lot of help from a lot of my OGs. So definitely, hopefully looking to be in a position to pass that on as well. So
very cool. Do you have any mentees right now, kind of people that have been under you that you've been kind of grooming, or?
You know, I think at True Laurel, I always feel like I'm able to lend some help there. The staff at True Laurel is absolutely amazing, an incredibly hospitable staff. And whenever I get to go back in that space, just because like I know the space so well, I feel like I'm able to kind of, you know, help out and, you know, just like be supportive and talk about, you know, I just like know the space well. But I think, I mean, I also just go to a lot of restaurants, and like anytime there's like a young black dude or a young black person or like any person of color, I'm always like, hey man, like I'm out here, like this is a really cool thing. And like, you know, I didn't go to school really like that either. So like, just like trying to let people know that there's like, you know, there's a lot of money out there to be made. And like, there's, you know, if you, again, kind of that, like you're being kind to people, just keep your head down, keep your studies up and learning more, you can like, you know, get into a spot where you like make okay money and, you know, have some kind of influence and can like, you know, start to open doors into bigger opportunities for sure.
Yeah. I'm seeing, I always wanted to see like politicians with face tattoos.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that, like my cousin used to be, she's a tattoo artist now, but she used to be a child therapist. And she used to like have to go to these courtrooms. And she's like, I'm the only brown girl there with tattoos on my neck. Like, you know what I mean? You get judged. But I feel like the judgment is going away. Yeah. And something that I see is a lot of these old fucking head racist people, they're dying. Yeah. They're dead, you know, in like 10 years. Yeah. So things are going to balance out. It's just going to take a long time to get there, as it has, you know, taken a long time. Yeah, but I think seeing you in this position is proof that there is a positive step. Yeah, for sure. You know, seeing Jeff where he's at, you know, Andres and everybody else. Yeah. And something that I like about the Bay Area is that you'll hear white people be like, fucking white people. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So they're like, they're in tune with what the fuck we're talking about. You know what I mean? So totally. I love that understanding that they have here.
For sure.
But it is on those young ones, man. I don't know what happened to the guys that are like 25 to 28. They like, you know, they thought they knew better because of Instagram. Yeah. And then after a while, it was like trying to train those dudes. They're like, we're not fucking listening to you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then you leave, but now you see that the young guys are actually listening and they're respecting, and they're like, all right, I don't know anything. Yeah. You know? So it's cool to see dynamics now and how they work and like who our next chefs are going to be in 10 years. Yeah, totally. So when you do walk into that space, like, you know, that young black bartender's back there, you don't know what he's going to be doing in 10 years. He could be you. Yeah, he could surpass you, you know, but for sure. At least you know, that you're part of that trajectory. You know, do you want to open your own label? Do you want to make wine? Like, where do you see yourself creating?
I don't know, man. I think, you know, kind of what we talked about earlier is that, you know, if I always kind of saw myself as like a student and as like an athlete. So, you know, finding myself as a creative has really just been a development that's happened like in the last couple of years. Like I always like thought I was like, you know, kind of a cool guy and like had some creative juices, but I wasn't really expressing it in a lot of different ways, like outside of sports, I guess. Yeah. So like, you know, cocktail ideation and being creative with cocktails and flavors has kind of been like, you know, finding myself as a creative.
Those are hard to put yourself out there, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Because people's first like instinct is to hate.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
And that's what I find, like when you ideate a cocktail, do you ask for anyone's help?
You know, chefs are a really big part of it. I mean, I've had really, really good relationships with the chefs at the places I've worked, like especially in Philadelphia. Like there wasn't really a big budget for the cocktail program. So I was like basically like just hanging out in the kitchen while they're prepping, being like, hey, like, where are you guys getting those oranges from? Or like, you guys gonna do anything with those peels? Like kind of trying to like scavenge, and also coming from like an eco perspective of just like trying to have as little waste as possible, trying to see if we can like pick up scraps and reduce our footprint a little bit. But also like when I'm in the kitchen with those guys, like the prep team, especially during the day, you're always like, you know, got a spoon being like, hey man, taste this. So definitely relying on chefs. And also, you know, they just like know food and know flavors. And like, even if they're not a big booze person, like when I'm making a cocktail, balance is like my number one goal in the cocktail. Yeah. Like I'm not trying to make, you know, super anything too boozy, anything too sweet, anything too sour. Like always trying to find balance. So I feel like leaning on chefs especially is a really, really good resource.
Got you. Yep. What is your favorite cocktail of all time?
Ah, man. I think, I mean, when I go out, I'm really like not drinking anything fancy. Like I'm usually on like a gin and tonic or like a glass of wine probably when I go out. But I think at a restaurant, True Laurel has a cocktail called the My Oh My, which is like a milk washed, a milk clarified Mai Tai pretty much. Okay. Like an espresso, like a coffee rum float. which is super fire. Just because it's like, I think it just achieves that level of like, you look at it and you don't really know what it is, and you think it's going to be something, and it tastes a different way. So I always love that kind of moment.
So you like to like not be fooled, but they call it trompe l'oeil, I think, in French. Like when they're like pull the veil and it's something else.
Yeah, totally.
Very cool. Very cool.
I love that moment. I think probably my favorite cocktail that I ever made myself was, I did kind of a what was it? It was basically just like a Sazerac, which is like some rye, a bunch of Peychaud's bitters, like a little bit of like a sweetener of some sort. So I did like rye and made, or like infused the rye with like California Bay, which gave it
Bay Laurel.
Yeah, California Bay Laurel. Woo! So it had this kind of like, you know, like that like cooling effect, you know what I mean? And then I also made like a green and black Szechuan sort of tincture, which gives you that kind of like mouth numbing feel. So like, I think that cocktail was one of my favorite ones because it was just like super bitter, super savory, super herbal, but also like it was really a cocktail that was like a lot about the mouthfeel. Like it had this like cooling effect in your chest from the Bay Laurel, and the, you know, the Szechuan kind of gave you this like numbing thing on your mouth. So it was like, it was a little bit more than just like something that you drink to taste. It was
Tastes good, right?
There was like
senses
around it too, which
Very
I think,
cool.
I always think I'm really excited by that sort of stuff.
Yeah. If you had to pick one spirit, what would it be?
Drinking probably mezcal. Just because, you know, I mean, everything can be made artisanally, but like mezcal is really something where it's like it's really an art form, and like takes time, can't rush it. I really like that smoky flavor profile as well. There's also, you know, terroir really impacts it as well.
Yeah, it does.
Like, you know, the volcanic soils and things like that. I'm always, same thing with my wines. Like I'm really inspired by like, you know, and I guess my produce too. Like I love just farming and, you know, being able to taste where something is from, and learning about like, you know, geography through wine and spirits is something I'm pretty passionate about.
Very cool.
Yep.
Do you if you weren't doing this, what would you be doing?
Man, I don't know, bro, because like and I never really thought I'd be doing this either. You know what I mean? It kind of was just like a whole bunch of doors that just got open. Like I started bar back, and they're like, "Do you want to bartend?" I was like, "Sure." Like, "Do you want to be in charge of prep?" I was like, "Sure." They're like, "Do you want to design this entire cocktail menu for this like restaurant that's been open for 20 years?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And then same thing with the brand ambassador thing. They're just like, "Hey, this is like what's going on. Like, do you want to give this a shot? Like, does this work?" So I think, I mean, honestly, just like riding the wave is kind of what I'm about. And, you know, but also, I mean, my family and my upbringing is really focused on like social justice, and like Oakland is obviously a place that, you know, politically has a lot of things. So I think my end goal is hopefully, you know, probably to do something with my family, probably with my sister, that like, you know, in some form impacts like the betterment of the future of my community.
I'd love to start a culinary school here.
Yeah, dope.
For like,
deserves one.
But like an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to take all your money, just enough to like cover the cost of whoever's working here or whatever. But like, I feel like a 6-month course where like 1 month we do these cooking techniques, this other month we do this. We're going to go out to eat at restaurants. I'm going to show you what good dining is.
You can see it.
Yeah, because there's, you know, I went to Johnson & Wales University. I don't talk to any of the chefs that I went to class with. I don't, you know, there's some people that I talk to from the industry, but I feel like they didn't set me up correctly for what I needed to do, especially skill wise.
Yeah. Dude, I was in New York a couple months ago. We did a pop-up with Cherry Bomb, which is a female-owned food and beverage publication based in New York.
Okay.
Super rad. Shouts out Cherry Bomb. But we did like a big event. They have like an annual kind of like fundraiser thing. And there was like a couple, like I was going to the bathroom, and there was like a couple girls in aprons who were like super young, like teenagers that were like helping out with the event. And I was like, I asked one of them, I was like, "Where's the restroom?" And she was like, "Oh, it's over there." And I was like, what are y'all, like, what's going on here? Like, what are y'all up to? And she's like, "Oh, you know, I go to like, I can't remember the name of the school, but it's something like," she's like, "I go to culinary and economics." And I was like, "You're studying culinary and economics?" She's like, "No, I go to a high school. It's like called culinary and economics. It's like basically like I learned how to be a chef and about economics. It's like the high school I go to." And I was like, "What are you talking about?"
That's fucked,
I was like, it was crazy. So they were like helping out like as like a school assignment for this like event that was going on. So I think things like that are super, super important.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so many of the things that you learn in school are just like not applicable to everyday life.
No, they're
like,
not.
Trade skills and things like that. Like it's so weird that that's how it used to be, and we like really moved away from that. And then I think it's something that deserves to have a resurgence for sure.
Yeah, and I feel like the history that's taught in culinary school is not good enough.
Sure.
It's just like, here's Escoffier and here's this other guy, and that's basically it. You know what I mean? It's like, I think that there's a lot of history that is, I forget his name, but right now I'm remembering, I went to Saint Germain in New Orleans, and he had this picture, and it was this black chef. He was like dope, like had the fucking neckerchief bandana, like tank top, you know what I mean? And he's like, oh, this is Chef so-and-so. Like he basically put fried chicken at the forefront in New Orleans. And he ended up dying in a flood. Like he cooked on a boat and he died in the flood on the boat. But like this guy is like a lost gem in history. And that's why this show exists. Because people need to know who fucking Jared is. People need to know who Jeff Davis is for us to be able to move forward. You know? And I hope fucking anybody that's watching this can see you up here and be like, damn, I want to fucking do what that guy does. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Because I told Joe Sasto a while ago, it's like, there's a lot of fucking kids out here that you don't even know you're influencing. But they look at you and they say, I want to be you. You know? And that's why, you know, when you carry yourself out in public, like there's a certain way after you become a chef or like a professional that you're like, all right, I need to like be on point at all times. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah, you never know who you're running into. That's how we met.
Exactly. Exactly. Dude, I was at the airport and I fucking met Jilly the Kid and Wallow from fucking $1 Million Worth of Game. I'm fucking going to Mexico, dude. I got this like Baja drug rug on. Like my hair's all fucked up because I got it braided the day before and then I took them out because it was like the bands unclipped. And like I'm like looking crazy. And yeah, man. And he's like, hey, what's up, dude? What's the name of your podcast? I'm like, I look like shit right now. I can't believe this shit. Like a homeless man being like, hey, I started a podcast. That's a fucking, but it was dope to see them for sure.
Shouts out Gilly the Kid. He's from Philly.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Bro, I think they split up though.
Yeah, I saw
something about Wallow snitching or something like that.
Yeah.
I hope it's not true. I hope that they're just fucking around. But if it is true, goddamn, man, that's them in a week, same week as Jesus and Mero. So it's like, I just talked to Chef Angel Barreto and I was telling him like the cycles are closing right now. There's things in your life that are meant to die. So let them die. You know, and then that way you can move on and be reborn in the right way.
Totally.
So shit, man, what are your favorite restaurants in SF? Where are you going to when you're not working?
Dude, the Mission definitely has a lot of my favorite restaurants in the city. Hote just opened up. Definitely worth the visit. I just did a pop-up at Etria, which is a really special
Spencer
space.
Was the chef over there, right?
Spencer was there.
Yeah.
Their offering is basically like crudo and pasta. Like it's smacking. The service The service is really dope as well. Really, their wine list, sake list are both really, really special. Etria is really dope. Ernest is another spot in the Mission as well. Really amazing. Probably best steak tartare I've like ever had in my entire life for sure. Who else is doing some special stuff? Burdell, Jeff Davis.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Probably
Sequoia Diner every Sunday.
Some of the best bites you'll be able to get. Period. So
I hope he gets his space soon, and
for sure.
You know, I want to definitely support that. And you've been going to Snail and Slug probably since they opened, right?
Yeah. I pulled up to the Slug soft opening this past week.
Yeah, how was it?
Fire, amazing.
Yeah,
we really went through like the whole menu. Got to see some old friends, meet some new people.
Yeah,
Slug is killing it.
He's really creating a good community for the industry.
For sure.
Like, because every time I go to eat a Snail bar, I end up with a new podcast. Like, a new guest. So I'm happy for him. And I want to still create this, like, industry world. Because I feel like for a while, COVID included, we never hung out. We're like, I'm working too hard. I'm tired on my day off. I want to go to sleep. So you don't go to the bar. You don't go eat. Nowadays, the mentality is, you know, it's mental health, which is great. But at the end of the day, like, go out and have a beer every once in a while. Cooks, you know what I mean? Like, that's the best way to get to know each other. Honestly, the best networking happens over drinks. Like, I'm sorry, like, you know, over a joint. You know what I mean? Like, how many times you see somebody like, oh yeah, I smoked a joint with that guy, or I fucking drank a cocktail with that guy, and it already gives you that, you know. That
guy Kevin Dowell I was talking about earlier, we met at Chicago Cocktail Week. It was like our first conversation, like really where we got to talk, was like 3:00 in the morning. both like super fucking drunk, like had smoked a lot, like it was just like one of those late night things.
Yeah.
And he has a daughter and was getting ready to have a son, and their like age gap was about 5 years apart, which is the age gap between me and my sister.
Yeah.
So we kind of just like talked about like my dynamics of my relationship with my sister for like a couple hours, and then, you know, next thing I know, he's like lining me up with my next 3 jobs. It's like, you know, those things can come from anywhere.
I'm telling you, man.
For sure.
It's almost like you're saying you got that job based on how you are, not what you know.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like that. If you work on yourself in that way,
yeah.
it's much better than what you actually know. Like you can teach anybody anything.
Yeah,
with
for sure.
With the right amount of time, like
yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, definitely.
So very cool. Oakland as well. I know we talked about Burdell. Is there any like niche spots, like good ramen, good Chinese? Like I'm always looking.
Man.
I know in Oakland there's that Chinese spot that's open till like 3 a.m. I forget the name of it. You can get the info from Andres.
Okay. Yeah. I'll ask Andres.
Because he's always like, when we went to the Jules birthday party over there at Slug, he was like, all right, we're going to eat here.
Yeah.
And he brought me there after we did the panel with the boys.
Nice.
Shit, it's open till 3. It's delicious. They got Peking duck, like,
okay.
Spot. It's fire.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got a couple low key spots that I can't blow up. There's
okay.
a couple of places I cannot
okay.
afford. So
no, it's all good, bro.
We can talk after the podcast.
That's all good. I'll be there. Shit.
I like Viridian a lot.
Okay.
Really special cocktail program. Probably like my favorite cocktail bar in Oakland. But the food's really good there as well.
I heard Palmet is doing some pretty cool shit. Have you heard of that place? They just opened.
Palmet.
I'm unsure like who the chef even is. I just saw them pop up on a list.
Okay.
And I sent a buddy of mine over there, and he was like, "This is the best restaurant in Oakland."
Dope.
So got to try Palmet.
Okay.
I don't know what they're doing, but their cocktail list is apparently amazing, and just their service and everything is super tight. It's like for an industry person. Yeah. When you walk in, you're like, "Damn, you guys got a fucking good machine here."
Cool.
You know?
Yeah, definitely.
What do you guys sous vide over there?
Yeah. Okay. So I've got kind of just like a herbal syrup. There's a couple sort of, I think I've got like some white pepper, a little bit of fennel, sous vide with basil, tarragon, and I think that's it. Then I've also got like a no-yo oil, which is basically like an oil made from like the pits of stone fruits.
What does that taste like?
It's like, it has this like really magical like vanilla sort of nutty aroma.
It's like the peach leaves.
Yep. Yeah. Totally.
Like amaretto, sort of like.
Exactly. Yeah. It definitely has a little bit of an amaretto thing. That's something I got from Nick Torres at True Laurel.
Does it get bitter at all, or?
Huh. Yeah. It's kind of like a sweet nuttiness and like tons and tons of vanilla aromatics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you. Is there any other pits of fruits, anything else that you can do that with?
Oh, I don't know. I think stone fruits are the only thing that I know of off tops, but
right.
Yeah, I think
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe there's something, you know. I've always seen a similarity between peach pits and actual almonds.
Yeah.
So they got to be in the same family.
Yeah, and aesthetically they look like the same.
Exactly.
It looks like an almond. Yeah.
I wonder can you eat that middle part? If you find it jelly enough, young enough?
I think
you'd have to sacrifice the peach, but
yeah, I think if you got it young enough, yeah.
Peach almonds?
Probably cook it a little bit or like bake it a little bit too.
Yeah.
To, you know,
toast it out
a little. Yeah.
Cool. It's like the green almonds. You see when they're like jelly, that medium stage.
Yep.
That's their bomb then.
Yep.
My boy Charlie used to make them into olives.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like brine with salt, throw them in oil.
Dope.
Pretty fucking bomb. Cool, man. Well, fuck yeah. Done. Podcast over.
Cool.
That's it. Cool, man. Thanks a lot, man.
Hey, dude, this is a big deal, man. You're killing it, bro.
I appreciate that.
It's, you know, I mean, as soon as I sat down next to you, I was like, this dude's definitely a chef. He's got the little pig tat on his hand. And, you know, definitely this is a really cool platform, man. I think podcasts are just like such a cool way to just like talk your shit.
Exactly.
Keep it real. And
there's no rules.
Exactly. Yeah. And, you know, definitely somebody I look up to. And it's just you're out here doing it all on your shoulders, which is so respectable, man. I really fuck with that. And I think we hopefully can continue to be tapped in for a long time, bro, for sure.
Hell yeah, bro. All day. I'm telling you.
Dope.
Like, I think that when I start talking about the podcast, sometimes people like, just like, yeah, whatever. Like, but I'm not even looking like 3 years. I'm looking 10 years. Like, what is this in 10 years? Like, I feel like this is going to be a motherfucking entertainment platform. Like, we are going to have our own fucking channel, like Fight TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where anybody can do anything.
Yeah.
You know, because I feel like it's for so long, it's been like, oh, well, you have to look this way to be an actor.
Sure.
Or you have to be this way to do that. Even when I was in fine dining, they're like, hey, man, can you not be so loud.
Yeah.
Maybe don't make so many jokes. You don't want to be looked at as a class clown.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm here to be myself. I'm here to fucking, and sometimes it might get a little loud. Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Dude, when I was working in Philly and had to wear a shirt and tie, man, it was just so detrimental for like my whole shit. Like, if I can't like look like myself and be myself, it's really hard for me to like do it. For sure.
And don't get me wrong, I think there's a space for that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I feel like we are in this age where everybody wants to cancel fine dining, but I'm like, yo, we cannot cancel the thing that got us into it. Yeah, the thing that makes it interesting, just because a fucking few white dudes fucked it up for us. Like I'm not like we cannot let them win. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like that's letting them win. Fuck that. Yeah. We're taking fine dining back, and it will be of upper echelon service, like these great hotels that have been around forever in France and shit like that. Like I don't want to take the respect away from that, and it sucks that like I call it the Bill Cosby syndrome. It's like you believe in somebody for fucking years, and then they turn around and do that shit, and you're like, am I being lied to? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like, fuck that. I'm not about that. So fucking be truthful. Yep. Fucking here, me and Jared Murray out here.
Yes, sir. Hey.
Look at that. Oh, man, let's discuss shit.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Peace.
Yeah. That's it, baby.
Cool. That's it, man. Thank you,
yeah. I'm looking to do panels so that we can put some. Actually, had Trick Dog.